Hello, and welcome. You are hanging with the Diecast Sheriff and my teammate, fellow Diecast Mafia member Leo of Leo's Diecast Garage. And today we're going to slow down the pace, turn down the music, and try to restore this Lesney number 64 Scammell Breakdown Truck. So the axles on this casting have seen much brighter days. I'll have to match this paint, shouldn't be that big of a deal. The real issue with this casting is this front axle area is completely out of whack, and on the right side of the axle where it's rounded you can see how it sticks so far out past the tire, and that's because on this passenger, the left side, there's a piece of the tire on the inside and the outside missing. So we'll have to use a replacement for that, which we have, so no big deal. And you'll have to let me know how you feel about, me slowing things down. I'm not going to do it that often, but if it's a popular thing, then I'll do it here and there. But we start off by taking the burr off the axles so we can drop the tires and axles out of the casting. And then after that, it'll clear it up so we can get a unimpeded shot at the post, and just like this, so we have our best opportunity here to go straight at the post. If we didn't take the wheels and axles off first, then we might be going in there a little bit of an angle and then blow the post out. So I've actually made that mistake in the past and learned from it. So and here we go, we got that sucker open. And right about here is when I decided, whatever I gotta do, I'm not taking this tow hook off of the casting. I knew it right there. I was gonna find a way. And right now I'm taking a little bit of the burr off the post. So that way when we put the casting back together, and a lot of times the paint is pretty fresh, and you just don't want to scar up a brand new paint trying to get the casting and close back together. Another mistake I've made in my short past in diecast is, being happy that it snaps together, but when you go to put it back together, you risk damaging the paint if it's too hard to snap it back together. So just a little bit of drop of oil, and then I'm using my tap here. I'm going to tap this out. And I like to go back and forth a good bit. That way, you run the risk of stripping it if you don't back it out and clean the flutes on the tap. Here we go, we got our button head screw. Now you can see how out of whack this is. So from the front, the part that holds the axle isn't perpendicular to the base, and then from the side you can see how it curves downward. And so I just slowly, one one little bend at a time. And I'm purposely going a little bit less than I think each time, because it seems like these old die casts, you can only try to bend it back. If you try to bend it back and forth, then it breaks off. So now that it's bent, you can only bend it. So I got it as close as I possibly could, and then before I broke something, I called it quits. And then here we go, snaps right back together. Time for the evidence remover and drop this sucker in there. I don't know why, but I developed the habit of twirling that sucker before I drop it in there. And then here I have the tow hook taped, so I have this other container. And I'm just going to dip it in here and get the evidence remover on there without getting it on the tow hook. And then put it in this other container, so it's like, so I can control where the paint stripper goes. And the last thing I want to do is eat away that tow hook with the paint stripper. Believe it or not, sometimes I really do have a donut while I'm waiting. No, true story. So now the evidence remover has done its thing, and we're just going to use a cheap paintbrush and recycle this evidence remover for the next casting, and get as much of the evidence remover off there so I'm not flushing it down the sink when I clean this thing up. And we can just brush it off there, no big deal. It's this next piece where when we clean it up, every step I take where there's stripper around or on it, or even when I took it to the sink, I was extra careful, because man, so many of these castings, you get this specific casting and the tow hook is just mangled. I'm almost gonna bet that Leo, his casting, the tow hook isn't any good. I'd be surprised if both of us did this casting and the tow hook was in good shape. I'm really lucky, so everything I'm doing is to preserve it. And so this is the brass wheel. A lot of times in my videos, you'll see me use the steel, and I kind of use it on its side, and I use it real light. I know a lot of people get all scared because of this, but if I'm doing a resto, I don't even want to take off the casting lines, so use a much softer bristle with the brass. That's what I find a little bit different about walking through these builds step by step. I mean, I'm not going to do it that often because there's just so many other builders that do it, and I'm not the best guy to get information from. I'm out here learning from the guys who've been doing it for a while, like everybody else is. That's one thing that I'll say to everybody that watches my videos is, hey, I'm proof that anybody can do this. Anybody can do this. If you have a passion for diecast and you want to try this, try it. And I know Uncle Paulie is cringing right now if I tell you to just take whatever casting. He'll tell you use a mainline casting until you get good at it. But you know what? Don't let that stop you. If all you got is old red lines, hey, it's your toy. Give it a shot. Give it a shot. Crack that sucker open and see what you can do with it. That's what I did one day, and now here I am making videos and hanging out with Uncle Paulie. Here's that tire replaced. Yeah, we played golf with the old one. So here I'm just giving the wheels a coat. I know some of my viewers would feel ripped if we just did a resto and called that good, so I think along with this resto we're gonna try a little diorama. I've never done that before either, and time to step outside of my comfort zone and try to make something cool. So this is part of a corrugated sign that I use to make the doors on my garages. And, so this is the leftover material, and then a Q-tip cotton swab box that took the plastic from that, and I'm gonna put one of these little squares in each corner of this container that we're making here, just to make it seem a little bit more realistic, like you could hook a crane up to it and lift it and stack them on top of each other. And then this old can of paint out of my garage is pretty much good for nothing, the way that it spurts out, until you want to make an old rustic shipping container. Well, I think you guys have had just about enough of listening to me, and I'm sure you probably knew we weren't going to get through a whole video without some loud music and a fast pace, so I'll catch you next time, folks. Big thank you to Leo. I really appreciate you hanging out with me, brother. It was definitely fun to try a resto. Shout out to the rest of the Diecast Mafia team. Shout out to Uncle Paulie. Huge thank you to every single person that has subscribed to my channel. And I'll see you on the 26th for the Ford Falcon.